Hey everyone, welcome back. Orion of the New Gods, in my opinion, is a fantastic character. A character that doesn't get as much recognition as I think he should, and a character that really, if you think about it, if you round him up as to what makes a good character, he's got all the ingredients. He really has. He's got a great power set. He's got a great back history. Cool costume. I think he's original enough. I think he is original enough to make him, uh, something special. Uh, People might argue, well, new gods, is he a copy of Thor? Is he a copy of Hercules? No, I don't think he is. Thor, Hercules, characters like this are very well established in myth, and the way that Jack Kirby, and it was Jack Kirby, by the way, who created Orion, who created the new gods, the way that Orion's backstory, his powers, the struggle that he has, the internal struggle that he goes through, the way it's all done, it's so different, it's so fascinating that I think it really sets him apart. Look, at the end of the day, let's be real. There's no such thing as true originality of a character. There isn't, right? um, all the characters that we have as superheroes right now, they're basically following tropes, right? They're following archetypes that have been set throughout the centuries with these Greek heroes and mythical figures and figures in mythology. They're all just mismatch, not a mismatch, sorry, a mishmash, a mishmash of all of these myths and legends. That's what these superheroes are, and that's fine. That's why you're never going to have a truly, completely original character because, well, it's all been done before. Orion is, I suppose, in terms of the super strength, the astro force that he has within himself, that he can sort of like project outwards. All of these things, the ability to run super fast, invulnerability, all of these things. Yeah, okay, they're not original, but I think originality really is a bit overrated these days, only because it's just very difficult, if nigh impossible to attain, right? So within the confines of what was available to Jack Kirby, in terms of his thought process and what he could actually come up with, and to be as original as possible, I think Jack Kirby did a fantastic job. He really did. Orion is a great character, and the reason why he's a great character, I will explore a little further. Now, at the outset, just to explain that Kirby created Orion and the new gods and introduced the world to these new gods in 1971 in the first issue of the New Gods. And there's look, there's always been this thing about Orion, his issues with his dad, who is Darkseid, right? He's got severe daddy issues, and the reason for that is because when he was just a child, Darkseid swapped his son Orion with Highfather's son Scott Free. So basically, Scott was given to Darkseid, Orion was given to Highfather, and Highfather, of course, belongs. For those of you who don't know the mythology of the new gods, Highfather, who's good, rules New Genesis. Darkseid, who's obviously bad. I think everyone's heard of Darkseid. He rules Apocalypse. Highfather gave his son Scott Free. Darkseid gave his son Orion. They swapped them around so that there would be a lasting peace treaty between the two realms. Of course, it never sort of stays peaceful for long, but that's the general idea. Now, as a result of that, we had the character of Mr. Miracle, who of course was Scott Free, who was tortured whilst he was in the care of Darkseid by Granny Goodness, another very evil, weird character hailing from Apocalypse, whilst Orion was given a loving environment and his natural tendencies, Orion's natural tendencies to be a complete brute, this evil within him was tempered. It was tempered by the environment that he was in. Whereas Scott Free, Mr. Miracle, was put through horrendous environment in Apocalypse, but still turned out to be a hero. Right? They're both heroes. Darkseid's son and Highfather's sons. They're both heroes, but their environments were so different. And this is really, really clever. What uh, Jack Kirby did. He basically gave us examples of both nature and nurture in developing the goodness in a person, right? So with nature, scot free, Mr. Miracle, even though he was put through the worst of environments, still turned out to be a good person, a good superhero. Whereas, despite his environment, by the way, whereas with Orion, whose natural tendencies were a bit towards the dark side, because of his nurturing, because of his environment, managed to control his natural urges and turn into a hero as opposed to a villain, which is what he would have been if he was in the care of Darkseid. So just for that alone, just for that consideration alone, you have to, take your hats off to Jack Kirby. I think that was a very, very clever way of basically showing two sides of of that philosophical question, right? Of whether it's nature or nurture that defines how you are as an individual. There's always a question hanging around Orion, which is that if you take him out of the environment that he's in, if you take away his friends on New Genesis, his best friend, of course, is Light Ray. For those of you who know anything about the character, you'll be familiar with Light Ray, of course. And you take away the influence of Highfather, you take away the calming effect of the mother box that he has. Mother box is a device which basically new gods have to help them heal and to teleport into well, it's like a transportation device, and it performs mini miracles basically. Anyway, he has this mother box to try and calm down his naturally aggressive evil nature, right? And it also camouflages his natural look, which is very close to Darkseid's look. It's very coarse, it's very fearsome, but the mother box seems to sort of camouflage that. If you take away all these factors out of Orion's current life, if you just leave him to his natural state, the question is always there that will he revert to the dark side? Will he be a villain as big as, if not bigger than, his own father Darkseid, right? Because there is a lot of natural inner conflict. And Orion knows this. This is what makes him such a damn noble character, in my opinion. I mean, to struggle, you see, this is why I say that he is such a great representation of the natural human struggle between right and wrong that we all have, right? We all have this struggle within us. Some people, some people's good wins over their bad, and so they become good members of society. Some people's bad wins over their good, and so you get criminals and you get murderers and rapists and burglars and etc. etc. I mean, the overall concept is pretty simple, but of course it gets very intricate and complicated if you go into it. But Orion is, I think, a very, very good, clear representation of that inner human struggle because he's going through it every single day. And to have a character like that, it's brilliant. But not only that philosophical, well, that quasi philosophical question of the inner struggle. uh, there's also the powers that Orion has, and Orion has some pretty cool, funky powers. I think I mentioned them already. Super strength on par with Darkseid and Superman. In fact, he's fought Superman to a standstill when Superman was on Apocalypse. Uh, During the Legends period, there was a Legends miniseries that took place in the mid 1980s, and in one of the episodes, as it were, Superman found himself teleported to Apocalypse, and he ended up in a fire pit. Came out, lost his memory. Dark side, sorry, basically fooled him into thinking that he was his son. This is Superman, by the way. Superman thought he was Darkseid's son, and Darkseid pitted Superman against Orion. And Orion not only held his own, but basically managed to beat Superman back to his senses. Um, he's a powerful character. He really is a very powerful character. In fact, Darkseid fought Orion, and Darkseid got killed by Orion. That's how powerful Orion is. In fact, Orion has, as I understand it, Orion has been able to generate a force field powerful enough to withstand Darkseid's Omega beams, and nothing stands withstands Darkseid's Omega beams, right? That's the whole point of these Omega beams. That's like his main power of like annihilation. But Orion has been able to. He has this thing called the Astroforce, which basically is some sort of like new godlike cosmic power, and he channels it through his astro glider. He's got like this apparatus, this like this thing that he uses to basically fly at supersonic speeds around the cosmos, and it's basically like a skiing. It looks like a massive one-piece ski set, right? And when I first saw it, I wasn't that impressed. But over the years, man, it's really grown on me. I think it's a very, very cool looking thing. He can fire sort of bolts of energy from it, his own astro force, and no one knows where it came from. That's another thing. It's like of an unknown origin. So how he came to it, I might have to look into that actually a little bit more. Now that it's got me thinking, where did this astro glider come from? Anyhow, he's got this great, cool set of powers and these tools that he uses. So as a character, with his internal struggle, his powers, the battles that he's been engaged in, his warrior mindset, because he is a true fearsome warrior. I think this is such a great recipe for a truly, truly great character. Whether he's a superhero or a supervillain, I mean, let's put that to one side. Just as a great super character, Orion, in my opinion, has it all. And I really do think that this stupor that DC currently has in relation to utilizing this character, they need to come out of it, and they need to really, really give him his own book, or put him back into some sort of like major continuity, right? They need to put him back and bring him back into the mainstream. Because as me, I am Team Orion. I think Orion's a great character. I hope that you are too, or if you're not, then perhaps this will somehow, get you into Orion a little bit more, and my job would be done. But that's it, guys. That's my ramble on Orion. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you in the next one.